Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melder Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can make a pad in MPowersynth. Not only am I going to show you how to make a basic pad, I'm going to show you how to make a template. So that way, if you're like me and you're in the middle of a song, you really don't want to go flipping through 100 different presets for pads, or you don't want to have to create one from scratch because it takes too much time. I want to show you how you can make a basic template you can work from, and then after you finish composing and you have your ideas down, then you can go and tweak it. And then from there, I'll show you a few variations to make it more interesting so it sounds like, actual music. Here we go. So if we open up MPowersynth, I have the default here. I'm going to turn the filter off for now. Let's go to Actually, let's start here with the globals. And I'm going to turn the sustain all the way up. And then if we look here, the attack. So I want to be able to move this easily. I'm just going to go here and click Quick Learn. What the Quick Learn does is it enters this time and the name just quickly. It's a recent addition, so it's really useful. I'm going to open it just in case, and let's set this at 0 and 1,000. That's good. It looks like everything is okay here. Another useful thing I can do with this is I can double click it here and set this to tempo. So I'll sync this to tempo. That's a bit too much. Let's try 16th note. 200. Okay, let's see what it sounds like when I play this. It sounds like a pad. It has a little bit of attack. I might have to adjust that later. I'm going to do the same thing here with the release. So just hit Quick Learn. Move this around. And now everything should be synced up here. And I can do the exact same thing. So let's see. I'll set this, let's say the same value. Okay, but the next thing I want to do is I want to change this oscillator here to a saw sound. So it's on sine now. Just right click and then choose saw, or I could choose it up here if I wanted to. That's pretty good, but it has a little bit too much high end. So the last thing I'm going to do is go to the filter here. Click here. And now I'm going to attach the attack and release to this filter attack and release. So move the sustain up here. Instead of Quick Learn, I'm just going to hit Learn. Move this back and forth like that. Turn it off. And when I go into here, all I have to do is just say use first parameters range, and they'll be synced up. So everything's moving like I want it to. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to the release here. Although in this case, I'm not sure if it matters because they already had the exact same range, but just for reference. Let me sync these back up again. Let's try 16th notes. 16th notes. But if I play it now, you'll notice nothing really happened. It's just going to sound dull. Now what I want to do is I want to move this frequency range up here. You can set it to wherever you like. I usually like it at 3.5 to 4 octaves, but see where it sounds good for you. Release was a little bit slow. I should have synced that up here. Try this. One problem I'm having now is this resonance. I want to move that down. Let's try 20. Maybe a little bit higher. And let's play it with the chord progression I had before, just to see how it sounds. Okay, so for me, I'd probably stop right here. You can do more if you like. You might want to change the resonance. You might want to increase the drive, change the resonance range. There's all sorts of things you can do. You might even want to change this to a super saw or something. But for me, this is basic enough that I could work with this if I was doing a project. So now I'm just going to go into here. I have something named templates and just save it. Click add and let's just name it pad. So now anytime in the future, I can just go back to this and I can load it up in any project. But now let's do some a little bit more advanced things, because that's kind of boring. You wouldn't really use that in a song, or I probably wouldn't. So let's try to make this almost like a future bass style pad. So I'm going to turn on oscillator 2. First thing I'm going to do is change this to a rectangle. I'm going to pitch it down 1 octave. And now let's play it, and I'm going to adjust the wet dry level. That really added a little bit of thickness there. Here it is without. Here it is with it on. So I think you can probably hear the difference there. And I'm going to go back here, turn the unison on. Let's set this to like, I don't know, 10. Okay. Now I'm going to adjust the detune. Seems a little bit low in level too, so I'll probably turn this up a little bit. Turn up the output gain a bit. Not too much. Okay, another thing, I want to add a little bit of noise at the top here. White noise. Let's adjust this. The wet dry level, that is. That's just to give it, a little bit at the, treble end of the spectrum. And one other thing I'm going to do, since this is future bass, I want to get that wobble. Now, one thing I could do is I could just go into the FX section here, click it, and find M wobbler, and like here, and put that in. But I'll show you another way to do that. In the filter, you see where it says tremolo here. I can add it very easily just using this. So I'll click this little toolbar, and let's sync this up to tempo. Tempo sync. Let's try 16th notes at first. Let's increase the depth and see how this sounds. Okay, and I could use a fade in, because during this attack phase, I'm hearing that wobbling and I don't really like it. So I can either use the fade in, or I can use this, not a random initial phase. Tremolo starts in the decay phase. That way, during the attack, there'll be no wobble. And I can just change the tempo. I like the 16th note triplet. And then for the last part, I'll just put, let's say some reverb on it. So move this out here. What do I want? Try a wormhole. Move that down. Let's see how this sounds. So for me, that's something I might actually use, like that type of future bass wobble. But let me show you something else you can do. Go back to here. Okay, so this is our template. From here, let's try kind of a vowel sound. So I have everything here. I'm going to use this again, and I'm going to use a square wave an octave lower. Let's move this up a little bit higher, like this. Now let's use a vowel filter. So I'm going to go into filter 2. I'm going to use this here, this formant, A-E-I-O-U. And from here, if you adjust the character, you'll hear different vowel sounds. Now one thing I can do is I can adjust this, the ADSR here. Let's try like 300 something. Move the sustain up. And I can move the release down if I want to. And now what I was doing is I was moving the character, but the character range will actually use this ADSR. So if I move this up here, you should actually hear some of that formant sound changing. And if I think, oh, that's okay, but I kind of want it to go the other way, all I have to do is just reverse this. And same thing, maybe I want to put like some chorus on it this time, for example. Here's my chorus. Let's try maybe basic. See how this sounds. Probably want to move this down. I don't want quite so much square wave. So that's kind of an interesting one. I don't know if you want to use that every time, but it's kind of an interesting effect you can use every once in a while. But let's try a different one, something that, let's say, a bit more basic. So, of course, I have this basic pad sound, but let's say I want to make this almost like a trance sound and use a trance gate with it. There's an easy way I can do that. So first, let's pump up the unison again. Turn up the filter a little bit more. Now all I have to do is find M rhythmicizer here. I'm going to click this button here, which will pop it out so I can see it a little bit easier. Go to General, and let's try Volume. They have a few different trance gates. Let's try this one, and now let's see how this sounds. So that's cool. I like that one. Let me try doing it twice as fast. So I'll click this. So that one's really cool. I'd probably use that. Maybe I'd put a reverb or something on it, but that's how you can make a quick trance gate using this. And let's try one more using this pad. Okay, in this last example, I'll show you how you can make an evolving pad sound that morphs between different waveforms. So, as we had before here, let's move the filter up just a little bit. And let me move up the output gain just so it's a little bit louder so you can hear it. Now, what we're going to do is go to oscillator 1, and you see we have a sawtooth wave. If you go to the harmonics, there's something different. But if I click this little arrow, it will take all the harmonics from the sawtooth wave and change them into harmonics. Like that. So that's great, but how do we morph between these different waveforms? So the first thing I want to do is go to M3 here. I'll just label this as morph. Now, the next thing I want to do is click here. I want to go to oscillator 1, shape, and then harmonics. So you see we have lots of parameters here. I'm just going to scroll all the way to the bottom, hold shift, and click it. So it highlights all of these parameters, then click OK. It might take a second or two to load all of these depending on how fast your computer is, but once you have that, it has all these harmonics and phases in here, and you can change them. But to make this a little bit easier, let's use the banks. Okay, so here it loads up with 4 banks, but I don't really need that many for this. You can do as many as you want, but I'll show you how to do it with just 2 to make things faster. So I'll reduce this to 2, and let's stop there for now. Now let's go back and let's see, okay, how do we get the sounds we want? You can load the sounds from anywhere. So if you look at the presets here, they already have some presets ready to go. So I could try, let's say, a trombone 1. That's good. I like that. So I'll use that. Now I'm going to go into morph. And now you see this icon that looks like a save, like a disk. Just click on that. And now all the harmonics and phases are saved. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but let's say, they don't have what I want in these presets here. I'll go back up to normal. And for example, if you have a wave that you like, just click on advanced, click on load sample, find it wherever it is on your hard disk, click OK, choose the depth, click OK. Now we have our custom waveform here. And now I want to change it to harmonics, so I need to click this arrow. Okay, now we have that, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. I'm going to click this icon here. So now the harmonics and phases for that are saved. And now when we move between the morph, it will change all of these. So it only goes up to 64, so it's showing a lot here, but I can get rid of those. 64, there we go. So now you can see it's smoothly morphing between them. And if I play it, okay, so you can hear what's going on. But you think, I don't want to move this by hand, and I really don't want to automate it, in my DAW. So you can actually use an LFO or an envelope to modify it. So let's go here, click clear and learn, move this back and forth. And now, if we look in here, it's already loaded. If I click enable, it's moving. So if I move this over, you can see everything's moving. I want to move it a little bit slower. Let's try, maybe this speed is good. Maybe a 2-bar cycle. Now let's listen to it. And then from here I can do other things, like I can turn on unison. This. I can add another oscillator. Maybe I want a triangle an octave down, like this. And let's say I don't want to use an LFO, I want to use an envelope. All I have to do is move over to here, envelope. Let's try. You can set this however you like. Just set this up quickly so you can see what's happening. So there's lots of different things you can do with that. And if you move over to this other section, random, you can even have things moving over here if you want, and have it move randomly instead of based upon something else. So there's all sorts of things you can do with this. I just want to show a few different ways you can morph this if you want to give your pad some movement. This might be a quick example, tempo-wise. I think something slower, more ambient works well with this approach, but I hope you get the idea. And of course you can use more different waves. You don't have to use just those 2. You could use 4, 5, 10, whatever you like. But hopefully this gave you some ideas of things you can use. If you like this, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and be sure to check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Until next time, see you.